Hello Model Railroaders, I'm Dave. Welcome back to the Hobby Room. What's up on this video? Well, I have gotten tired of dealing with my old soldering iron, and it was a, I believe it was a 0 to 60 watt from Princess Auto. I couldn't get the tips for it. So I was making my my own tips out of 1/4 inch copper bar, and then just grinding a wedge shape to it. But you know, as you can see, those were a couple of the original tips that came with it that you know, weren't that great. They disintegrate the resin disintegrated the tips and ate them away, and you know, in fact, the resin eats the copper tips away. Aside from them oxidizing due to the heat, which is the black scale is copper oxide. But you can see how the tips get chewed up by the bare copper. Nothing wrong with the heating iron. It outputs a quite substantial amount of heat. The other one that I've got is this style, and the only tip that I've got for it is a pointed tip, which I don't really like. And I think this could even be a 35 watt, somewhere between 30 and 35 watt. So this is a very light powered one as far as heat goes. Compared to the other one, which I thought I had out, but I don't. It's, oh, there it is. There in my mess. Here it is. So that's the rosin flux that I use out of a flux pen. There, as you can see. So let me put it to the side. Yeah. So here's my beat up junker, if you will, Princess Auto Special, or I guess Harbor Freight would be the equivalent in the U.S. You know, just a straightforward dial it where you think the heat you need it is. No indication of what the actual temperature you're doing. I did find this one was really hard to dial in properly if I was soldering up, and I don't see, yeah, there they are. If I was soldering up switches for the turnouts. So that's, I've destroyed a few of the switches by melting heating up the pin too much, and then it gets moved within the potting on the bottom of the switch, and then the switch dies. So I figured if I'm going to be getting into this kind of doing electronics, I really need a good soldering iron. And again, here's the rest of the copper rod that I was using. You can see the little black marks down it where I'm ready to get 4 more tips out. Now, that is perfectly fine. It actually worked great when I was soldering up the feeder wires onto my bus lines. You know, like for dealing with the 14 gauge wire. It heated it up pretty darn good and allowed me to solder all those joints. So I've got no issues, but it's like using a big hammer, you know, a roofing hammer, instead of a you know, say a little tack hammer for doing small jobs. So I don't know if anyone follows Dave Jones on the EEV blog out of Australia. Not Austria, Australia. But he's done quite a few soldering iron reviews because he's into electronics. And one of the ones that wasn't horrendously stupid, like the, I want to say, Heike soldering station, and there's knockoff brands as well of that similar style of soldering iron, which is really for, you know, doing a lot of electronic stuff. In my case, the Yuchan, he did show one when he evaluated it, and he thought it was, you know, fairly light, fairly good for the cost, and was fairly accurate with its digital setting. You know, it wouldn't deal with you know, pumping out the kind of heat that you would require for really large jobs where the heat would be sucked away from whatever you were soldering. But for the smaller stuff, it seemed quite well, and came, you know, you could get a variety of tips with it. So that's what I've got here. Is I picked up a 7 tip for the TS100 soldering iron, and that's what this is, the Yuchan TS100 digital OLED programmable pocket size smart mini blah blah blah. So I ended up paying $110 essentially for the unit, and this is off Amazon. And for the tips, which are not the same by Yuchan, they're a third party, though they do fit them, for the 7 types for $73.50, I was willing to take the chance because the tips from Yuchan, I think, were $25 or $30 a piece. So I was willing to give a try on the other tip types, and we'll just kind of go over the tips. There's a K with a very much a large knife point, a KU with a smaller knife point, a B2 which has more of a pencil type point to it, BCU, which is more of a dull pencil type point, a I, which is a very sharp point, and then a D24, which is more of a small wedge shape, and a C4, which is more of a cup. I'm hoping that shows through the shiny plastic. But I thought the tip variety was well, and yeah, I may have said that one is more wedge-like, but it's only a slant on there, and the D24 is more the wedge shaped. So the different styles, so yeah, that's the slant point, and then more of a wedge shape with a good sharp tip to it on the other one. So I found that was a good selection of the tips, that I should be able to find one that will be useful for whatever application I may have in need. And this video is only going to be more of an unboxing of what I've bought. I haven't even tried it yet, and I want to do that off camera so that I understand how the unit works, and I'm not dragging the video out trying to figure out what's involved with running the unit. So this is what came in the box. So we've got a looks like a ground clamp. We've got a power converter, which looks like it's goes from a 2-pin to a plug style. Power cord. We've got a 3, so that goes to the power cord, and then this one would go to the unit itself. So this must be an adapter for something. Again, I'd have to go back through what was actually contained. A little sponge, wet sponge with a little bar just to prop the unit up with, a little bit of solder, and then the TS100 soldering iron itself, and it's a slide out. So what do we got? It's a little difficult one-handed, but we'll make it work. Okay. I did quickly look at this previously, so that's why this is already opened. You know, your typical warning, your warranty, safety instructions, and your breakdown of the tip and how to secure the tip and things of that nature by the look of it. Yeah, part names, so there's the English, the part names, if you want to pause it there for a moment. Yeah, so not a whole lot as far as instructions go. A little Allen key and a couple of screws, and then the unit itself, which is, you know, as long as, a little longer than my fingers, but, you know, I don't think I've got huge hands either. So, interesting little unit. That's where the tip would go, and our charger, and it looks like there's a USB, possibly a mini USB for firmware updates, possibly. Again, I've got to do a little reading, and your A and B buttons, I guess, for setting your temperatures based on your what it says on your screen, and it comes with a rounded tip, which is probably if looks are similar, it's probably the same tip as the TS100-I by the look of it, and so more for really fine soldering. But that's what's here. As soon as I figure out how to actually properly use the soldering iron and recall what exactly this is for, it's probably for a battery adapter, if I'm remembering correctly, but we'll see what that's all about. So there we go. Upping the electronics game, as it would be. So a very short power cord with a longer lower voltage DC running to the unit. So Power Puck has a 24 volt DC output at 3 amps. So That's whatever would need to be supplied to the unit through an external source would need to be, I'm guessing, 24 volts and up to 3 amp capability to supply the higher temperatures. But anyway, there you go, guys. Till I figure out how to work this new soldering iron, I'll call that the end of the video, and hope everyone stays safe with the COVID variants floating around out there. And till the next video, I'm Dave. Bye for now.